All right, let's get started.
So I have a couple things I want to do today. I want to change up the format a tiny bit and use this as an opportunity to revamp how we do Monday Matinee a little bit and give some more information about Black Panther and the movies that we do to really get into the background of how things are going, who are the teams behind it, and not just do a brief synopsis of the movie itself and kind of how we feel about it, but give some more information, and then give our fans an opportunity if they want to come out and talk about things they can. So welcome back to Monday Matinee. My name is Daryl Fedchak. I am the outdoor adventure coordinator. I cannot say that today. I've said it like 90 times too. I don't know why, but
you're just practicing.
No, it's been on the phone or like people stopping in the office or like things like that. But so, and with joining me today, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
My name is Spencer Emerson. I am the Associate Director of Recreation and Wellness.
All right, and today's movie that we're going to be talking about is Black Panther from 2018. This is part of the Marvel MCU. And to get started, I do want to do our normal thing where we take you into the trailer. Helps if you actually...
You get the audio on it. I could have done the whole voiceover.
Get the technical issues figured out here because it's not with it today.
Well, that's the part. The good part about editing is you can just cut it out.
Tell me something. What do you know about Wakanda? It's a third world country. Textiles, shepherds, cool outfits, all afront. Explorers have searched for it. Called it El Dorado. They looked for it in South America. But it was in Africa the whole time. I'm the only one who's seen it. And made it out alive. I can see you. The world is changing. Soon there will only be the conquered and the conquerors.
Step into the spotlight.
You are a good man.
Step into the spotlight.
With a good heart. And it's hard for a good man to be a king.
All right, so I watched this movie twice. I watched it over the weekend, and I watched it again today, actually, while I was getting some data entry done. This movie is unique for Marvel in that, with the exception of two people in the cast, the entire cast was black. And I thought that was awesome when that came out. And I remember 2 years ago when this came out, a lot of people were like, oh, that movie's going to bomb. Like, you don't have any big names. And I'm like, you have tons of big names. Oh, my gosh. Are you kidding me? Angela Bassett's in this movie. Like, and just I couldn't believe the backlash that came out of that. And I think that, especially with what the country's going through right now, it's an excellent narrative into, how we cast movies and how we see things like that. This movie, like I said, it was from 2018. It was directed by Ryan Coogler. It was nominated for 226 different awards across many, many different categories. It won 90 of those, which is amazing for any movie. And I thought it was really cool. But among those awards, I want to just get into, it did win Best Original Score from the Academy Awards. The African American Films Critics Association, it won Best Picture and Best Director. The BET Awards. All right, this is really cool. I thought this was awesome. For Best Actor, it nominated four nominations for Best Actor came from this movie alone. Daniel Kaluuya. Sorry, I'm tripping over my words. Daniel Kaluuya. He played the border tribesman. I can't remember the character's name. He had Michael
Wakabi.
Wakabi, that's it. Thank you.
Wakabi. He was the Prince of the Borderlands.
Prince of the Borderlands. So then you have Michael B. Jordan, who is Eric Killmonger, and I have loved his work. The first thing I ever saw him in was Burn Notice, actually. He was a one-off character in Burn Notice many years ago, and he was amazing. Sterling K. Brown. Oh my gosh, Sterling K. Brown. He has been in everything, and he is always so much fun to watch because he has so much range. I love when he gets that intense. He's one of those guys that can just nail that intensity. And he can do it with his eyes. Like, he doesn't need big gestures or anything. He's so subtle an actor, and it's just amazing. And of course, the other nomination was Chadwick Boseman, who won. So that was pretty cool. But not only did the BET Awards nominate four nominations from Black Panther for the BET Awards for Best Actor, but there were 3 nominations for Best Actress. Angela Bassett, who plays T'Challa. I always get T'Challa and T'Chaka mixed up. T'Challa's mother, Lupita Nyong'o, who she plays like the girlfriend. Nakia, and then Letitia Wright, who plays Shuri, who is T'Challa's little sister, and she's like the tech genius, and I always thought that was pretty cool too.
She was my favorite character out of.
Right? Oh my gosh, she was so good too. And I thought she was pretty good, and then they get to that whole scene where she's like showing him the new tech and stuff, and he shows off his sandals, and she's like, "What are those?
What are those?"
Oh, that was just a great scene. And then when she's filming it because she knows that he's about to get his butt kicked.
Yep.
That was just a masterpiece, and I thought Letitia Wright played that character very, very well.
I think she had the best tension breakers, or whole funny moments of this entire movie, because you're looking at like giving the brother the middle finger, while she's going back inside, because he's like, "Can't wait to see what you wear." Then you're at the moment, and she is like, anyone wanna take aim for the title? And she's like, "I'd like to take this corset off. It's very uncomfortable. So can we get going?" And so she has some the what are those, all that. I loved it.
So, and Clarabelle has mentioned in the chat line that Ryan Coogler did a great job, and I totally agree. He was an amazing director for this. This movie, I think, should have won Best Picture. It was nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards, and I was really hoping it would win. It unfortunately did not, but just to nab a nomination like that, it was huge for Ryan Coogler. And now here's the thing about what he's doing. And Spencer, I told you, like, I always try and line these up a little bit as much as I can. So last week was Space Jam. Do you know who's directing Space Jam 2?
Is it Ryan?
It's Ryan Coogler.
No way.
Yep. Which I feel like he's absolutely the best person for this job as well. Like, just look at some of his other filmography. I mean, he's going to be he's pulling out Black Panther 2. He's got Judas and the Black Messiah coming up. This is a guy. He did Fruitvale Station in 2013. Mm-hmm. That was like his first feature film. Like he's I would say maybe 5-6 years ago you could have said up and coming, but he is a very established director.
Yep.
in this, and he's only 34.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's mid-30s, so he's already jumped in.
Phenomenal. I mean, no one does that. Oh, and Clarabelle says he was the director behind Creed as well. Again, Michael B. Jordan.
Yep.
And Creed's actually coming up in the rotation later on. I think it's in October.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's get into and break down favorite parts of the movie here. So, Spencer, Give me like your top 3 moments.
Top 3 moments.
Clarabelle, I'm going to ask you too. So
I know that. Oh man. Okay,
right,
let me.
just give me one. Just give me one.
You know what? I'll give you. I can give you the 3 real quick. So first is when uh, when they're at interrogation and the agent touches T'Challa, and you just see his general turn and go. If he does that again, I'm
just do that.
like, I'm going to throw him through that wall. And it is like, does she speak English? And then she replies back when she wants to, like, and so I that was one of my favorite moments. The other moment would be when the is it the mountain tribe?
Yes.
Yeah, mountain tribe. I always get mountain and hill in my head.
The Jabari tribe.
Yep, the Jabari tribe comes down and helps during the big fight sequence. That was one of the moments that I enjoyed because you're like, oh shoot, I totally forgot about that. Like, he said he wasn't going to partake in it, like, not my fight. I'm not going to help, but then he just pops up out of nowhere when you're like, oh no, they're really not doing great. And then the third part would be probably the second time when he takes the flower and he talks to his dad and he's like, Dad, why did you not tell me this stuff? Like, you killed your own brother. This is not what we need to do, because those characters, there's a lot of similarities between them. And that's what, if you start watching, there's also a lot that you sometimes miss. And I love watching this movie, all the time, because again, I was rewatching it today. And I was like, I need to ask Daryl about that. Like, this is so crazy. But those were my top 3. What did you like?
This movie was so intricate and just so world building. I loved the idea. Just before I get into my top 3, though, I love the idea that Wakanda is advanced enough to hide in plain sight, and just be able to build their own world with their own technology and their own concerns, and take care of themselves, but then start to branch out. You kind of see the kingdom growing, and they have this. But at the end of the movie, they have this outreach program that they're going to start, and I thought that was pretty cool, that they're evolving that way. Okay, so top 3. Okay, number 3 is definitely that conversation between Killmonger and Ulysses Claw when they're in the museum and they're stealing things. I thought that was just really good for villains, just to establish them as villains, but they're also real people. Yeah. And Michael B. Jordan does a real good job of going like, what are you doing? And
I let him run away, so it looks like amateurs.
Which is Andy Serkis, by the way. We got to talk about this. Andy Serkis and Martin Freeman are in this. So you have Bilbo Baggins versus Gollum again, which you mentioned Gandalf earlier, but so that whole conversation where they're stealing all the vibranium artifacts, and they're just kind of like, no, if you spread the crime scene out, it makes us look like amateurs. Yeah. So just to kind of give their villains some depth, I thought that was pretty cool.
And not to cut you off, the crazy part about that is there wasn't much depth into those characters. Like, their first scene was them doing this crime, and so you already felt like you knew the villain. Like, they didn't go, oh, this is the son, this is the bad guy who broke in before. A lot of times you have no clue who they are, but you already like, I don't like them, but I do like them, so I can't wait to see what's coming next.
Yeah, and this whole team did such a great job of building up who Killmonger is.
Yeah.
And just establishing his character before you confirm that he is the kid. You knew the whole time. Like, they didn't hide that fact, but they just built him up as a separate character. So it was never just about that vengeance.
Yeah.
That was his huge motivation, but it wasn't just about that. There was more there.
Yeah.
He was definitely a product of his environment, and I thought the movie was a great segue into that. Okay, second moment. Okay, second moment. My number 2 was when they are at the Jawari tribe's like throne room, and M'Baku is addressing everybody before he reveals that T'Challa is still alive. He's addressing Nakia and Shuri and Martin Freeman, and I can't remember what's his character. Ross, is his name Ross? Agent Ross.
Oh yeah.
And Agent Ross was like pleading with him, like, hey, come on, like you got to help us out. Like T'Challa would have wanted this, and you got to do this. And he just looks at him. He starts barking. So he starts doing the gorilla thing just to shut him up. And then he goes, if you talk again, I will feed you to my children. And then they're all like, what? And he goes, I'm just kidding. We're vegetarians.
Yeah.
I thought that was such a great humor break, like the whole their whole world is falling apart. They think T'Challa's dead. Everything's going, like they're so worried about their whole kingdom. And he just does a great job of breaking that before they bring T'Challa back into it. And I think that tension needed to be broken.
Okay.
And that's again where Ryan Coogler and the writers come in. Like, oh my gosh, like they just did that so well. It's all this tension build up, and he breaks it with one single line, like, I'm just kidding. We're vegetarians. And the look on Angela Bassett's face, she's in that character so deep, and she gives this little tiny eye roll, like, oh my god. And that goes to her acting chops as well. Like Angela Bassett's just amazing in everything she does. She's actually on that show 911. She's one of the producers of that show too, and maybe we'll get into that later when we talk about Angela a little more. But all right, number 1 moment. This comes after the fight, the final fight between Killmonger and T'Challa. They're kind of down in the mines with the train thing that's messing up their suits, so it's just them. And it comes after T'Challa wins the fight, and he's got the sword sticking out of Killmonger. And Killmonger says, hey, my dad told me he was going to show me this place, and what a crock. Can you imagine me as a kid believing that as a fairy tale? So what does he do? He takes him up to the most picturesque spot, and he shows him the kingdom. And then he goes, we can probably still save you. After everything, he shows what kind of king he is. And it's this crazy, intense, awesome moment between two people who are cousins, who are rivals, and just the amount of respect shown there. Of just like, look, you were a victim. It turned you into a villain, but you're also family. So,
because they're cousins. They're both part of the royal bloodline, and that's the character development of. What's the real difference between Michael B. Jordan's character and then Lupita, like who's Nakia? They both want to help. They both understand the struggles that people are going through, but it's all about a lot of situations. Like there's no reason that the son should have been left there, especially with it being royalty and all that. But
that's T'Challa's choice too. Yeah. He actually confronts his father in the astral plane and says, "Why did you not do this? Oh my God!" Yeah. And it wasn't so much a "look what you did to me." It was a "you made the wrong choice," because the right one would have been taking that child in.
Yep.
And there are parallels there. I mean, there are parallels just within the MCU. That's what happened with Thor and Loki.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a good callback to how some people behave in here. And you have to understand that King T'Chaka made that decision to protect his country. That was his whole thing. It wasn't a jealousy thing. It wasn't a, well, I don't care about the kid. He took his royal, obligations seriously and did that first.
Yeah. And it's the mix of like action, reaction, non-action, because even Chadwick has those situations of where Nakia is saying, "Hey, why don't we help with our resources?" And he's like, "That's not what we do. We can't give our power to other people because good, bad, and that's where he even has conversations about refugees and saying, yeah, Nakia wants to bring in refugees, and the Borderland son's like, no, because if you bring refugees, you're bringing their problems, and that's not what we do."
Well, and that's fantastic foreshadowing for Infinity War, because that's exactly what they do. They take in Captain America and all the other refugees, and then where does the fight come? Right
Yeah.
there.
Well,
So amazing.
well, then before the Winter
great
Soldier,
writing in the MCU, just you know.
I
Well,
think,
they already had the Winter Soldier. They already
but
had him.
we
but,
did not know.
but the idea was to heal him and kind of remove those triggers, so he couldn't go evil anymore.
Yep.
And then he would leave.
Yeah.
And you'll notice that even there they held him at arm's length. He was with the border tribe, and he was not in the in the main city. He was not access to technology until the fight came to them and they gave him that arm. So the MCU is just so incredibly intricate.
Yeah. There's 18 stories within a 10-minute block, and they're all intertwining.
It's amazing just how well thought out it really is. And Black Panther, I believe, and Clarabelle, I think, said this earlier, but Black Panther for me is one of the top 3.
Yeah.
I think Endgame is up there just as the love letter to the MCU that it really was. Yeah. Everybody's like, oh, plot hole, plot hole, plot hole. No, watch it for what it is.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll do Endgame at some point too.
I did find my one plot hole with Black Panther because originally I did not like the movie at first. I don't think I understood the character and how it was fitting inside the MCU. But then I watched it a second time and I immediately went, oh, I'm wrong. Like, I like this. This is a classic Marvel movie, but 20 times better. There was so much going on. I just don't think I was smart enough to follow.
And now, just going back in the chat line, Clarabelle says one of her favorite moments is when Michael B. Jordan goes to Wakanda and takes over the throne, and he gives the speech about how people are struggling outside of Wakanda. That speech was powerful. Mm-hmm. It establishes Killmonger for who he really is. And he's not shy about, not only, telling you what he wants to do, but why. Mm-hmm. He's finally at where he feels is he's at the apex of his whole plan, but he's not a monologuer. And I love that about him because villains tend to be even the Joker was monologuing in Dark Knight.
Yeah, low key, They
all do it. And Killmonger's like, no, this is what we're doing. This is why.
Yep.
And he goes, get on board or you're an enemy.
Yep.
And I respected that so much. Like, I love villains that are just like straight to the point. They're not the Doctor Doom style of like, I am the ruler of this whole kingdom and you're going to listen to a giant speech about this whole. No, I prefer a direct, straightforward. And Michael B. Jordan plays him so well.
And that's the thing. We call Michael B. Jordan the villain of this film, but he's not trying to destroy the world. He's just trying to take it back for his people.
He feels he's owed something. He feels that his people are owed something.
And that's because he is a prince. He has the same power, same opportunity. He was just put in a different situation. He's like, this is your king, and you look between the 3, they all want the best for their people, but they all have 3 different strategies. And that's the crazy part about leadership and the ideas is, his idea is not that crazy of an idea. It's, hey, we have a majority. Our people aren't, being taken care of around the world. We have the technology. We need to help our people. Mm-hmm. And he just has to do it through violence and war because that's what it's come to for that side. There hasn't been, that's what he knows. Since he's been in the military, he's gone, he does his speech like, I've killed in Africa, I've killed in, the US, I've killed everywhere. And that's what I like that part of it.
Mm. Yeah, and I think Clarabelle nails it when she said that they're all products of their environment.
Yeah.
Every single one of them is a product of their environment, including Killmonger. And I believe that the reason that he's such a good villain is because he's a product of his environment and he stays true to that. And yeah, that moment where he's challenging for the throne, he says, this is your king? Like, this is your king. He has that moment of, superiority. He won. Yeah. He didn't kill T'Challa though, and I wonder, if you get into the psychology of it, I wonder how much is there, because he throws him off the waterfall, but he doesn't make sure the job is done. So you have to wonder, like, is that a respect thing? Like, is he? Yeah, he's beaten on him pretty hard because he wants to win the throne, but he also understands that T'Challa is not the one that hurt him.
Yeah.
He's the obstacle in his way, but he's not the one that caused any of this.
Yeah. But it is his dad who killed his dad, and that's the part that you then go into the psychology of.
But there's almost never that whole like, well, your father killed mine, so you're gonna pay.
Yep.
I feel like that would have been too cliche for this.
It would have been, but the funny part, this is one of those plot holes, and I'm sorry for this. It's just how my brain's wrapped into it. So you know how the Borderland prince,
yes.
He said like, hey, this guy killed my parents when he took the vibranium the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and he has this whole vendetta like, I want that guy dead, like let's kill him. But then he becomes allies with the son of the guy who orchestrated the entire thing. Wasn't that how it worked? Like,
yes, but you have to remember, nobody knew that.
Yeah.
The only two people that knew what the prince did were T'Chaka and James.
Yeah.
And T'Chaka forbid James from telling anyone. If you go back and watch it, he says, "You will speak not of this."
Yeah.
And then because then he asked, "Well, what about the kid?"
Yeah.
Like that point. But no, nobody knew that. They all knew that Claw helped out. But if you remember the very beginning, T'Chaka wanted to confront his brother before speaking to anybody else.
Yeah.
And guards, like all of the guards, were asked to leave the room before he revealed what he knew. Yes, and then so like Clarabelle saying, because T'Challa didn't capture Claw and Killmonger did, but that's part of Killmonger's plan, because Killmonger's the one that freed Claw. He had him in the interrogation thing, and he was like, "Nope, we're taking him."
Yep.
And at that point, there's that one point where Ross finally goes, "All right, look, after I interrogate him, you're up." Where he's kind of like, you kind of see that concession of, I am not going to get through to you, whatever. And it's right then that's when Killmonger rescues him, and that's part of the whole thing. Yep. Killmonger always had that plan. He was
he always knew it was at any cost, because you remember when Claw had his girl at gunpoint, and Killmonger's like, sorry, and shoots her. And
because he's willing to pay any price to get what he wants.
Claw goes, what the heck is this? Like, how did you do this? And then he flips his lip and shows. He goes, oh my gosh, I did not know you were from Wakanda, really.
Yeah.
And Claw was Killmonger's ticket, and he always knew that. But he needed Claw. He had to manipulate that situation, and they were means to an end, and that was the girlfriend, that was Claw. Those were what he needed. And
said he's willing to pay any price to get there.
Exactly. And that's again, when I say plot hole for me, I'm just like, oh gosh, could you imagine your brain if you're the son going like, oh, you're the reason, like, we were supposed to kill Claw and this guy did it, but it's like, yeah, but his dad's the reason your parents are dead. And you're like,
well, you don't have the ability to take that out on anybody else.
Exactly. And you just want to yell at them like, it wasn't them.
Well, and look at the timeline too. Like, in the very beginning of the movie, they say that T'Chaka was killed the week before.
Yeah.
So the events of Civil War had happened a week before all of this went down. So Killmonger's, coming in, and he's actually planning on taking on T'Chaka. But he was killed by Baron Zemo first.
Yeah.
So then he just doesn't abandon the plan. That's what that is.
Yeah.
All right, real quick, I want to talk about something Clarabelle said a few minutes ago. She said she loved the female characters, especially when Okoye said she chose Wakanda over her boyfriend. The loyalty there, and just the power that's Denai Guerrera. And for those of you watching, if you don't know who that is, she plays. She's on The Walking Dead. I can't remember her character's name. I'm horrible with character names. I need to get better at that.
There's so many names.
Thank you, Clarabelle. Oh, but Clarabelle, you just got to be a host, okay? Like, for real, like, we just need to bring you on and like let you run this, because
we told you she's the best producer we have.
Okay? What?
she's the best producer we have.
Absolutely, and we need to bring you on as a
Yep.
full-blown producer.
Well, and again,
we're
the part
gonna
about
talk about that. Let's
Okoye picking Wakanda over her boyfriend, but then 30 minutes earlier, she was picking her new king over her old king and like best friend because she's like,
well,
I'm going to do for my country. And you have Nakia go,
challenge, though, you know,
yeah, and she's like,
loyal to the
that's
throne, and that's how the throne passes. She never once changed her ideology.
But when she goes after Nakia, then she's always loyal to Wakanda. I get that, but then it's that loyalty flip. Like her boyfriend was still fighting for the true king who won it correctly.
But see that's everybody thinks that's a plot hole, and it's really not.
Okay.
Because
no, not a plot hole.
Once Black Panther, the T'Challa comes back, he goes, "Look, I didn't cede, and as you can see, I'm not dead. So the challenge is still going." That's when her loyalty flips back, because she realizes, no, he's still the rightful king. He hasn't been defeated.
I'm sorry, Clara, but I'm sorry. I take it back.
She's with the throne the entire time.
Yeah.
And that's because that flips. That's when the tribe, what's his name again? I'm sorry, the tribe prince. He's still with Killmonger, which now makes him an enemy.
Yep.
You know? So it's this really subtle shift. And I loved how they did that. It's just so easy to see, like, how complicated it can really be. But Okoye makes it very simple. Yeah. She goes, "I am loyal to the throne, and I am loyal to Wakanda, and whoever sits on that throne will be the person that I defend." And as soon as T'Challa shows back up, she's like, "Boom! There's my king." W'Kabi, thank you. Oh my gosh, I don't know why I keep forgetting that. W'Kabi. And I thought he was amazing too. He was so good.
I do like him. I think a lot of these characters, you can all find your favorites. Like, no matter what, you talk to a group of 20 people, everyone will love probably one different character because they all had such strong parts. And while Chadwick Boseman was probably one of the best leads we've had in the MCU, there still were so many good characters. That's why I say, like, oh, I love Suri, but that's because that would be me to my brother. I would be like the smart Alec, doing all that. And that's where we go back into Clarabelle when she was saying, like, these strong female leads. You're also looking at how Wakanda set up, like the general and the army is primarily females. But then also that's similar to Thor and Ragnarok, and they have the that female army who got defeated.
The Valkyries.
Valkyrie, yeah. I was like, you can't think of names. I can't think of group names. But
what you're seeing in Marvel right now is so cool.
Yeah.
They're being true to characters and telling real stories, but they're not whitewashing anything, and they're not. We can get into Iron Fist all you want, but because I did think they whitewashed that a bit, but they're telling stories across a racial divide, across a gender divide. Miles Morales is going to come in as Spider-Man. They already tease him, and there have been rumors for months about as soon as Tom Holland is done with his contract, they're bringing in Miles.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. So no, I'm not talking about Into the Spider-Verse. Like, this is rumor mill for MCU for Phase 4 and 5.
Yep.
They're talking about possibly bringing in Miles that soon. I don't know if they'll actually get to that now with COVID changing everything and how that goes, but he was actually teased in Spider-Man: Homecoming, because if you remember the guy that he webs his hand to the thing, he goes.
Yep.
If you watch very carefully, he says his whole name one time, and he's the uncle, and he goes, "I got a nephew who lives around here."
Yeah.
Miles. Yeah, that's Donald Glover. I don't remember the character's name, but he ends up being the Prowler, which is one of the villains that works for Wilson Fisk. But Miles Morales is his nephew and eventually becomes Spider-Man. I thought that was really cool that they're going to bring that in. Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, I thought, is an amazing casting. The end of Endgame, when they have that little preview of A-Force, Oh my God. I was in the theater and I just went, yes.
We had an entire theater
Oh my
start yelling.
gosh. That was one of the best moments of Endgame and everybody like, you see critics are like, really? Come on. And I was like,
Yeah.
if you don't know what A-Force is and you don't know how awesome that's
Yep.
going to be, you're not paying attention, or you're still kind of on that sexist thing.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be, because A-Force is awesome, and the only person they were missing was She-Hulk,
Yeah.
who's coming in with her own TV show on Disney Plus.
Yeah. That's just because the Hulk movies have been so bad they could not take a chance on.
They also actually don't have the rights to Hulk right now.
Oh yeah, that's given.
They have them enough to put them in MCU, but they are not allowed to make solo films.
Yep. Because it was the same with Spider-Man, where they were having that rights, because they were selling the rights to these movies because they're like, oh, no one cares about superheroes, like, all that. Black Panther is the first movie to ever be nominated for Best Picture, and that was 2018. So they just, there was no need, let's not pay attention to it. So
what they're doing with being true to characters' gender, and being true to characters' orientation, and being true to their race.
Yep.
I feel like that's the push movies really need, because that's good storytelling, and that's showing more diversity through film, and that's something that is desperately needed in Hollywood.
Yeah. Well, because it's already in the comic books, like
exactly, and they're just trying to be true to it.
It's already there. This isn't a agenda. It is. They're following the comic books. Like Stan Lee, created this universe.
I would say the agenda from Stan Lee was decency.
Oh yeah.
And
it's always just really good.
And character building across generations and across racial and gender divides. And I thought that was really, really cool. And he's one of the first people that did it.
Yep. I think that would be my fourth favorite part is Stan Lee's cameo within it.
In the casino?
Because he does it in all of the movies. But it's just where he's like, dude, you just won a lot of money. And Stan Lee's like, I'll just watch after these for him. And you're like, it's the kooky, like, old guy, like, I got it. Like, don't worry, I'm here for him. And that was my fourth favorite.
All right. We are running out of time. I do want to get into Chadwick Boseman's life and his career. His takeoff role was as Jackie Robinson in 42. And if you're not a baseball fan, you should still watch this movie. And if you don't know who Jackie Robinson is, he was the first African American player in Major League Baseball. Back then, and I'm going to use the term Negro League because that's what they called it. He was big in the Negro League, but he came up into Major League Baseball, and there was so much pushback. People did not want him in that league. There were out and out riots over it. But he made people respect him as a player. He made people respect him as a person, and he was the first person to bridge that racial divide. And I've seen the movie a couple of times, and I thought, honestly, that Chadwick Boseman, his performance as Jackie Robinson, oh my God.
It was really good.
He is absolutely fantastic. And Kevin Feige from Marvel has gone on record saying, and I'll show that clip in a minute, has gone on record saying that the reason that they wanted him for Black Panther, I'm pretty sure it's Kevin Feige, said the reason that they wanted him for Black Panther was because of the job he did in 42. Chadwick Boseman actually has a couple of really cool things that have come out in the last few days. Some different stories that people were telling. So when he was in school, he actually he qualified for to work in film and to get into this film program, but he couldn't pay for it. And he was sponsored by an anonymous donor. And he found out later, he always tried to find out who it was, and he found out later it was Denzel Washington that paid for that. And he was able to thank him finally at the premiere of Black Panther. The other cool thing that happened at the premiere happened with Angela Bassett, and this is something she shared via Twitter the other day. So she's paying tribute to her friend, and she said, I actually met him several years before I got to act with him. Chadwick Boseman went to Howard University, and Angela Bassett, while he was there, was visiting, and to give a speech, and and to look at look at the department and go around campus. And Chadwick Boseman was actually the student assigned to be her assistant for the day, and she did not remember. They filmed the whole movie, and he reminded her of this at the premiere. So I thought that was really good. He had so many little connections with people, and he's just an amazing actor. I do have one short clip I want to show, and then we'll wrap up. All right.
Perfect. Yeah, those stories are the best.
All right.
It was Chadwick Boseman's performance in 42 that really made us take a second look. There's such an honor and dignity to the way that he played Jackie Robinson that we knew we needed for the character of T'Challa, the Prince of Wakanda.
Chadwick is an amazing actor and we thought would fit perfectly with the MCU.
Black Panther himself, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chadwick Boseman.
Chadwick, he has a lot of depth. It was amazing as an audience member to look into his eyes and see what's going on.
We must find a way to look after one another as if we were one single tribe.
A lot of the things about the character are also true about Chad. He's very knowledgeable. He's an athlete, a martial artist. He's had a lot of experience playing roles that come with a lot of weight. So I think he as a person, he as a guy has a lot of weight to him. I think he brings all of that stuff to the role. But not to mention that he's incredibly gifted as an actor and as a performer, and also as a storyteller in his own right.
I am not king of all people. I am king of Wakanda. And it is my responsibility to make sure our people are safe.
Because he is so prepared as an actor, and because his character is sort of flawless on set, it forced the other actors who had scenes with him to kind of raise their game and go, okay, this guy is not taking anything for granted. He's really leaving it all out there. So we have to keep up with him.
What doesn't Chadwick bring to the character? I mean, he's regal and grounded, and he brings a gravitas to it. So all of this feeds his T'Challa, and I think he wore the crown with dignity.
He Bombay! He Bombay!
I've known him since I was about 17, so I've known him for a really long time. Back in New York, he did the work, obviously. I just think he did an incredible job being true to the character.
I had a great time with Chadwick. Just warmth and camaraderie came into it, of course, with a great deal of respect for his previous work. So when I looked at him with proud eyes, they were as mother and also as comrade and colleague and Angela. It is your time to be king.
Chadwick is just a powerhouse. He really is so talented. Every single movie he's made, there's kind of this internal, almost nobility.
The Black Panther has been the protector of Wakanda for generations.
He's such a soulful actor and so professional, so present. It really gives so much to the other person, and he's awesome. And his presence on set, I think, raises the stakes a little bit for everybody.
Chadwick he's a really smart, interesting, dynamic guy, and I think he was not overwhelmed, but very surprised and somewhat taken aback by the amount of love. It ceased to become just about how well he inhabited the role and all that stuff. It's become part of our culture just as a symbol.
This welcome is one of the most amazing things I've ever experienced.
It's fun to watch just what it means to people. At times, in my head, I'll be like, well, what does this do for the world? Actually, what is it You know, is it actually valuable in this climate? And I have to say, yes, it actually is. Not because it makes people escape. I think when done right, it gives people hope. I found that it means a lot.
All right. Chadwick Boseman, everybody.
That was awesome. It's a lot.
Touching tribute.
Call it Emotional Mondays now, because
Yeah.
that was cool. Now I'm going to watch this movie again and again, because I own 42 and Black Panther, and so those are two great movies. And you know, as that part is, people could recognize in the beginning, you know, while he was alive. You know, it's not one of those situations where he's only remembered for what he's done, you know, after death. But now you just really go, man, like, we could have had a lot more, you know, great stuff out of him, because he loved what he did, and you know, he did what he loved. So it was a great part.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about Chadwick all day.
Yeah.
I think at this point, though, that tribute said everything. So next week, next matinee Monday, sorry, is going to be Remember the Titans. We're kind of stick with our Denzel segue there. You know, he helped out Chadwick Boseman, so we're gonna go with this. I do have the trailer for that up, so we're gonna do that real quick, and then we'll sign off.
Oh, that's one of my favorite movies.
You smiling. Why are you smiling?
Football's fun?
You think football is fun?
Yes, no.
No?
Sir, well, it was fun.
Not anymore, though, is it? Is it?
No, not by
No, it's not fun anymore. Not even a little bit.
Zero fun, sir.
All right.
Coach Boone, the school board made the decision to put you on my staff. I did not hire you.
Well, I came up here to coach you. I didn't ask to be assigned to your staff, so I guess we're both in a situation we don't want to be in.
If they keep on playing like that, we'll lose every game.
But I can guarantee you this, Coach. I come to win. We will be perfect in every aspect of the game. Get up, boy, get up, get up, get up.
We're still weak on the left side.
We're not weak on the left side.
It's not the problem.
What is the problem?
I don't need you up in my face all the time.
I don't care if you like each other or not, but you will respect each other. I want you to tell me something about one of your teammates.
I'm rooming with Blue, sir. He wears those leopard-spotted underwear, bikini style, sir.
Okay, maybe somebody who's not your roommate. Each one of you will spend time every day with a different teammate.
Huh? Does the term cruel and unusual punishment mean anything to you?
If you lose a game, they'll fire you.
One game, just like that.
Brother, don't you know me and your mama went out on the town last night? What did you say? What happened to you?
Man, I just gave your mama a piggyback ride, and she weighs twice as much as I do.
What's going on?
We wanted to let you know we was going to warm up a little different tonight.
Ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low.
We're gonna let these people know who's gonna win state, right?
Right.
Right? Right! Greek mythology, the Titans were greater even than the gods.
We're gonna change the way we run.
They ruled their universe with absolute power.
We're gonna change the way we block.
Well, that football field out there tonight, that's our universe.
We're gonna change the way we win.
We don't let anything, nothing, come between us.
We are team.
Another one of my all-time favorite movies. Remember the Titans. That's going to be a fun one.
You forgot Ryan Gosling's in the movie, Clarabelle?
Ryan Gosling's in this movie. It's before Ryan Gosling was Ryan Gosling.
Dude, between him, Denzel, but the part that makes you feel older is Hayden Panettiere.
It was in Remember the Titans.
Hayden Panettiere being in this movie, you're like, that's not fair. How old are we now?
I have half a mind to shoot my shot and send a quick message to Donald Faison and ask him to join us. He does that every once in a while. Where I don't know if you listen to the Scrubs podcast, but he jumps on random things every once in a while. I have half a mind to try it.
I think you need to. I think he'd love it.
Can't hurt. It can't hurt to try.
Oh, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky and Michael Scott.
Exactly. Yeah, Macaulay Culkin's 40. Don't make me feel any older than I already am. Oh.
But it was another great cast, and I think it'll be a great movie to watch again.
And again, it's a message that the world desperately needs right now.
Shoot, you needed it then, so.
Everybody, I want to thank you for watching this. You can watch this on our YouTube channel. You can get links to it on our Facebook and Instagram accounts. And as always, I'm Daryl.
I'm Spencer.
And that's Clarabelle too. She's our
that's Clarabelle.
Producer, whether she likes it or not.
We may have to start paying her.
Clarabelle, we kind of need you to produce. We're gonna bring you on board.
Especially with the new stuff that we're doing.
Yeah.
She got the info.
This is gonna be good. All right. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.